Hello students, you are welcome to Nuni Search English classes. Today we'll study third chapter of grade 12 from Flamingo book. The title of the chapter is Deep Water. Deep Water is authored by William Douglas, and the study point of this chapter are that we'll briefly look into the life of the author, key vocabulary given just before the chapter, explanation part, theme and message. So first of all, let us see the life of the author. William Douglas was born in 1898 and he died in 1980. He was born in Maine, Minnesota, USA. After graduating with a Bachelor's of Arts in English and Economics, he spent 2 years teaching high school in Yakima. Means he became a teacher over there. However, he got tired of this. This was not a suitable profession for him, so he decided to pursue a legal career. He wanted to make his career in the field of law. He met Franklin D. Roosevelt, contemporary president of USA, at Yale and became an advisor and friend to the president. Douglas was a leading advocate of individual rights. He used to fight for the rights of the people. He retired in 1975 with a term lasting 36 years and remains the longest serving justice in the history of the court. He served the coast for the longest period of time. The following excerpt means are this lesson. Deep Water. This is an excerpt, a small part of his book entitled Of Men and Mountains. It was written by William Douglas only. This book reveals how as a young boy William Douglas nearly drowned. He almost died in a swimming pool. In this essay, he talks about the fear of water and thereafter how he finally overcame it. He fought against the fear and controlled it, had a victory over it. Now we have to notice how the autobiographical part of the selection is used to support his discussion of fear. Now we'll see the vocabulary. The first word is treacherous. The word treacherous is used for Yakima River in this chapter. Treacherous means tricky, deceiving, befooling, cheating nature. Subdued my pride means, subdued over here means I controlled my ego, pride. Flailed at the surface. When he was thrown into the water, so he threw his hands in a very crazy way, in a very desperate way. He waved his hands to hold something on. That is called flailed at the surface. Fishing for landlocked salmon. Salmon is a type of fish, and landlocked salmon means which is found into some lakes and water bodies. Misadventure. Accident. Bob to surface like a cork. Bob over here means to come at surface at a very fast speed, just like a cork, like an arrow, like a bullet. Curtain of life fell. In this context, it means he lost his senses. He became unconscious. Back and forth across the pool to make movements, swimming movements to and fro, from this side to that and then back to this side. This is back and forth. Now we'll see the chapter. William Douglas at YMCA Pool. Over here you can see 3 pictures are there, which will help you to understand the concept with the better insight and deeper insight. This is YMCA Pool of that Yakima place. Yakima is the name of place. This is the real picture of the pool, and this is Yakima River. This is YMCA Pool and this is Yakima River. Name of the river is given after the name of the place because it crosses through Yakima. Yakima is the name of place, that's why. So let's see. When William Douglas was 10 to 11 years old, he decided to learn swimming. Why he decided to learn swimming, we'll see when we'll proceed with this chapter, because the root of his desire to become a swimmer, that goes somewhere back into his very childhood. Though Right now also he is a child, young child, but that time he was 3 or 4 years old only. So we'll see with the, that we proceed with the chapter. YMCA pool was one of the options, means there were other options also, but YMCA pool was safest for him to learn swimming. YMCA, full form of YMCA is, Y stands for young, M for Methodist, C for Christian, A for association. It means Young Methodist Christian Association. So this was the option for him to learn swimming. And his mother always warned against the treacherous Yakima River. His mother was very cautious and she always counseled him and advised him not to go close to Yakima River. She used to tell him all the stories of drowning into the river. It was very treacherous. Treacherous in the sense means people got befooled by the look of the river. When they looked at the river, they found that the depth of water was very shallow. The water in Yakima River was very shallow, but the current was very fast. They thought that water is not so much deep. So the moment they entered, especially for the beginners, she used to just give him warning about the beginners only. So when people entered into water, the fast flowing current of water used to take them away before they could control themselves. They would have lost their lives. So that's why it is called treacherous, because depth of water was less but current was very fast and people couldn't understand this thing, this nature of water, and as a result they kept losing their lives. Many people just lost their lives over there. So he decided to go to YMCA pool, and this pool was 2 to 3 feet deep at one end, as it is the structure of the pools. One side is for the young swimmers, the beginners, and other side is for the trained and the mature swimmers. And on the other side it was 9 feet deep. And at the same time, just to support himself and avoid any accident and mishap, he purchased water wings also. You can see in the picture, he is ready with the water wings in his arms. Douglas was very lean and thin child. Physically, he was very weak. And he had a very bad water experience at the beach of California when he was 3 years old. When he was 3 years old, his father took him to the beach of California. They were standing in the surfs where the water waves keep reaching at that part of the beach. Suddenly, a big wave rolled towards them. Father was mature, he could withstand and that tolerate that force of the water, but the child was very young, merely 3 years. So when the big wave hit father and the son, William Douglas fell because of the shock of the water, and the water rolled over him. That day, first time, he developed hydrophobia, fear of water. He could understand how powerful water was, how much powerful it was. The childhood fear revived when he went to YMCA pool. Now he is 10 or 11 years when he just talking about going to learn how to swim at YMCA pool. His age is almost 10 to 11 years. But he says that the fear, first time he experienced at the age of 3, after 7-8 years, it revived in his mind. It came back to his mind when he saw the water in YMCA pool. He tried to learn swimming by aping the other children because he was having water wings. So many people were there who used to come over there to swim in the YMCA pool. So he used to look at the people, how they were conducting themselves in the water, how they were operating their hands and their legs. Then he descended into water, he entered the water and started making the movements of his hands and legs in the same way. This is what it means when we say aping, means copying others. And after some time, due to this practice, he gained confidence. He became confident. So one day he was a bit early. No one was there. He sat on the side of the pool over there. Then he saw a bruiser. Bruiser means a very strongly built person, very mature child. He was strongly built. He saw that he came over there. That boy did not know whether William Douglas knew how to swim or not. So he asked him whether he wanted to enjoy swimming or not. Before William Douglas could respond to his question, that boy lifted William Douglas and he threw him into the deepest part of the water, where the water was 9 feet deep. And William Douglas knew mishap had happened with him. It was another accident with him, because he was not a swimmer and he was not having that time his water wings also. But he did not lose his brain. He continued making planning. Though the author didn't know how to swim, yet he applied his common sense. What is the common sense? He made a plan to come out of water, but it failed. When he started going down the water, he made up a plan that the moment my feet would touch the bottom of pool, I'll jump back, and just like a cork, I'll come back to the surface of water. This was the planning, and the moment I'll come back to the surface, I'll try to just swim towards the side of the pool, and thus I'll come out. This was the planning in his mind. But when he jumped back, he said just opposite to his thinking, opposite to his plan. He started coming towards surface in a very slow motion. Very slowly he just was raising towards the surface. So in this way, Douglas says that he went down 2 times. He knows that thing. First time he went, then he jumped up, he came back. Hardly his head was out of water and he started his journey back towards bottom of the pool. This time also he was having a planning in his mind. Second time also he jumped up, but he came very slowly to the surface, and by now his lungs started aching very badly because he couldn't hold his breath that much long. And then he says that third time when he started going down the water, he stopped all his efforts, and suddenly something unique happened with the child. Douglas crossed to oblivion. He says that I lost my senses. I became unconscious, and the curtain of life fell, became unconscious. Both mean same. Cross to oblivion and curtain of life. Curtain of life fell, it means like he died, but actually he was not died that time. He was nearly to be dead. He was near to be dead. Though he was rescued by the people, yet fear of water had rooted even deeper. People saw by that time when he was just struggling in water, other people, those who used to frequently visit the pool, they saw that the child was drowning. So they jumped into the water and took him out of the water. He was rescued by the people. He was made to lie on his belly and his back was pressed hard so that the water he had swallowed could be thrown out, and the same happened. He was taken to home, thank God, and he was fortunate enough to revive. He came back to life. But he says that the fear of water became multiplied. It became stronger. Then on he never went close to any water body, and he decided never ever try this adventure again in his life. And hydrophobia, fear of water, hydro means water, phobia, fear, so fear of water, had spoiled all his water funds. He continued avoiding water, but how long? And finally when he became mature, he thought and thought, how could he lead a life where there is no water fun, when all other people will around him, they were enjoying all the water funs like boating, canoeing, rafting, fishing, but he had to remain away from those things. So he made up his mind to learn swimming, and it shows the strong determination on the part of William Douglas. Hiring an instructor to learn swimming, and he says that October 1st he hired a trainer, and the trainer started giving him training 5 days a week. The instructor trained him in parts. He was very experienced, very trained, and knew how to train people very well. So he says that he trained me in parts. He did not teach swimming altogether. Rather, he prepared his skills in just parts. How? In skills. He tied a rope to the waist of William Douglas, and other end of the rope he kept in his hand, and then he let him go into the pool. So whenever he found that William Douglas was not capable to remain in the water, he used to took him out. So first he trained him for diving, and he trained him how to inhale and then dive, then come out of water, then exhale, again rehail, and then go dive. So this was a training, first training. Then he trained him for how to operate his hands, then how to operate his legs, and then how to operate hands and legs together. Once he became good at operating hands and legs in perfect way, then he trained him for different styles of the strokes of water: butterfly stroke, side strokes, back strokes, and the list goes on very long. Means he trained single skill him for single skills, and then finally he put all the skills together and told him that now he could do on his own. Completed training by April. He started in October and his training got completed by April, means almost 6 months. The instructor worked very hard after William Douglas continuously for 6 months, and now he was satisfied that everything was taught to William Douglas, which was related to swimming. Douglas' brave encounter with the fear. Now Douglas says that, by the way, after 6 months, the instructor's job was over. He was finished. I wasn't finished. This is the language he uses in text. I wasn't finished means I was doing well in the swimming pool in the presence of my instructor, but now I wanted to check whether I could swim all alone in the larger water bodies or not, whether still I was afraid of water or not, whether hydrophobia had left me or still I was in its grip. So he says that having completed the training, tried his swimming skills in larger water bodies. Now swimming pool was not enough for him. He came out of that boundary and he started swimming in rivers and lakes in his area. He went to Wentworth, name of a lake, New Hampshire, name of place. So this lake is located in New Hampshire. He says that dived off a dock at Triggs Island and swam 2 miles across the lake to Stamp Act Island. I swam, crawl, breaststroke, side stroke, and backstroke. Whatever the training was given by the instructor to William Douglas, now he was applying all those things into his practical life, and all alone. Only once did the terror return, when I was in the middle of the lake. I put my face under and saw nothing but bottomless water. The old sensation returned in miniature. When he was in the middle of lake and he tried to just dive in water, he says that old sensation refers to the fear he suffered in childhood life, returned in miniature. In miniature means in small amount only. He was not too much afraid. Because of that, a little fear he felt. But he says that I laughed and said, "Well, Mr. Terror, what do you think you can do to me?" I fled and I swam on. But he showed thumb to the fear and continued swimming, and he came out to be the expert swimmer. The experience had a deep meaning for me. William Douglas says, that incident meant a lot for me, as only those who have known stark terror and conquered it can appreciate. He says that this incident, what I'm just gonna share, I'm sharing with you people, and how much important it is for me. It's an achievement in my life, not less than an achievement, but the importance of this achievement and the meaning of this achievement will be understood by only those people, in the real sense of the word, those who have suffered like me in their lives. Everybody won't be able to understand it 100%. In death there is peace. There is terror only in the fear of death. And he says that this is my experience. Death is not painful. Because third time when he started going down the water, he stopped all the struggles, and then he says that I felt as if I was in the arms of my mother who was floating me across the sky. Such a peaceful experience he had that time. So says that death is not frightening. What is the main thing? That is the idea of death, which is really troubling to the people. Because I had experienced both the sensation of dying and the terror that fear of it can produce. The will to live somehow grew in intensity. Because we know that he fought two times, fought not, he faced that danger of drowning two times, and says that his desire to live became more intensified in him. He took that incident as a challenge and finally overcame the fear. He wanted to lead a life without any speck of fear in it. At last I felt released, and says that finally it was my victory over the fear. I got released from the grip of fear, free to walk the trails and climb the peaks and to brush aside the fear. He grew out of fear in a very successful way, but that success demanded a lot of struggle, punctuality, and discipline in the life of William Douglas, and yes, he did it. So this was the chapter and the story, students. Now we'll see the theme of the chapter. So the theme of William Douglas is fear and his triumph over it. Throughout the chapter we come to know that initially how he developed hydrophobia in a very young age of 3, and how he continuously had a strong desire to fight against the fear and became fearless. And he did that. Yes, it took many years on his part. The protagonist means the central character, the hero, over here in this case William Douglas himself, suffers a misadventure of drowning in a pool at a very young age of 3, and second time 10 or 11 years. The near death, but over here is talking about the YMCA pool incident. Near death experience instills phobia in his heart, making it impossible for him to enjoy water and water sports. Now, message of the chapter. William Douglas was able to overcome his fear by sheer determination, and this is what he wants to pass on to we people, the readers, that if you have a strong determination, you can do anything in your life, however hard it may be, however troublesome it may be. But he says nothing is impossible once if we decide against it. The message conveyed by this story is that it's not death but the fear of death that creates terror in our mind. So that fear needs to be shaken off, because ideas can be instilled in the mind and they can be uprooted from the mind. They can be cultivated, they can be decultivated. So if the idea itself is fear, we can control it, because death cannot be controlled. This is something natural, something inevitable, is going to happen today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Once upon a time it's going to happen with everybody. Says that this is something inevitable, but yes, the fear of death can be controlled. Also, any fears can be conquered if we try hard enough. And this is very psychological, students. The psychology experts say if you really want to fight against the fear, there is one way to fight. There is one way how to grow out of fear of anything, and that is do more and more of that thing which terrorizes you, frightens you more and more. Your frequency of doing that particular thing will make you bolder and bolder. One day you will come out of the cocoon of that fear, from the range of that fear, and you will become bold. You will become brave, definitely. So this is the message of the chapter. I hope you got the theme, message, and the concept of the chapter, students. So that's all for now. We'll see you soon with the next video. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Thank you.